Welcome back to Intellipaat's YouTube channel. In today's video, we will be learning about context managers in Python. But before we begin the session, make sure to subscribe to our channel and also hit on the bell icon so that you will never miss an update from us.
The agenda for today's tutorial is the following topics. First, we'll be looking at the prerequisites required to learn about context managers. Then we'll move on to the formal definition of a context manager. Later, we'll be taking a look at an example to better understand this definition. Finally, we'll be taking a look at the use cases and in which scenarios context managers are used in Python. Prerequisites. The first prerequisite you need to know is basic file operations like opening and closing of a file, and the modes like read mode or write mode, whichever mode you want to open the file in. And the second prerequisite is the intermediate understanding of Python features like class, init, method, etc. Moving on to definition. Context manager allows us to properly manage resources so that we can specify exactly what we want to set up and tear down when working with certain objects. Certain objects here refer to the file objects and similar objects like it. The context manager sets up a temporary context for you and destructs this context after all operations have been completed. Context here refers to the resource or environment that one wants to use. The resources might be a file object or a database connection or a shared resource, etc. So the context manager basically sets up this context and destroys it once all the operations are completed. Now, moving on to an example. Let's say you want to perform a basic file operation. Let it be opening a file. I'll just name it test.txt. I'll open a basic text file in write mode. And now I need to perform an operation after opening this file. So I'll just call write function on this object f, and I'll be writing a simple message hello inside it. And now once I have written the hello string inside the file, I need to close this file. So I'll just use the close function f.close. Now if I just save it and run it, there's no problem, right? Now the problem occurs when there is an error in the operation we do on the file. Let's say suppose I make an error here. Let's say I make a syntax error here. Now if I save it and run it, so the first line of code is executed, that is the file will be opened, and there is an error here because of the syntax error I made deliberately. The point I'm trying to make is the control never goes to the f.close function, so the file will be open. So if there is any error that occurs in between, the file won't be closed, or any resource won't be closed. So you can't leave it like that. So in order to solve this issue or problem, we can use a try and finally block. I'm just gonna put this line of code under try block, and this line of code under finally. So it works like this. First, I'm going to be executing this statement. I'm opening the file, and I'm performing some operation on the file. And even if this operation throws an exception or not, regardless, I'm closing the file. So this is a safe and standard that is followed everywhere while using resources. So if I just save it and run it again, syntax error occurs even here, but the file is closed. This is a safe way to do it. And we can also do this using a context manager. You can create a context manager using the with and as keyword in Python, just like this. With open, I'll be opening the same file again under write mode. And now I'm going to be storing this object in a variable f.
If you want to make a career in data science, then Intellipaat has IIT Madras Advanced Data Science and AI Certification Program. This course is of very high quality and cost effective as it is taught by IIT professors and industry experts.
And inside this, I'm going to be performing the operation that I need to perform on the file, which is I'll be printing out a simple message or a string that is hello. Okay, now if I just save it, now this block of code is equivalent to this block of code. That is, we instead of using a try and finally, we are using a context manager to manage this file operation, that is opening and closing of a file. We can also create our own context managers using a class. First, there are two mandatory methods that you need to implement in order to create a context manager. Here I've defined the init method first. This is optional. You can also skip this init method, but in order to follow standards of Python, I'm just defining the init method. I'm just printing out init method called, and then I'm defining an enter method, and inside that I'm printing enter method called, and then I'm returning the object, that is the parameter that is passed here. And finally, the exit method, which is called regardless of the statements that is put here. Now, exit method has self argument, execution type, execution value, and execution traceback. Basically, it handles the exception passed here. And inside this exit method, I have written the print statement exit method called. You can also put statements like closing a file or closing a database connection or closing the locks that is used for shared resources, etc. You can put any code you want under this. Now I've just used print statement to show the control flow of the context manager and where the control goes. Now, if I just save it and run it, you can see how the control is passed on. Uh, First, it goes to the init method, and the init method is called, and then it enters the enter method, and hence enter method is called, and it will return the object. And then later, the control will go to the context manager, and inside that, the with statement block is printed. And then finally, regardless of the statements that is given under the context manager, whether it throws an exception or not, it will the control will finally go on to the exit method, and then the exit method will be called, hence the exit method called statement is printed here, and finally the control comes out of the context manager. So this is how you can create your own context manager. Now, moving on to use cases. Context managers are used to open and close a file automatically, which I've shown in the example before. And it is also used to connect to and close databases automatically. Let's say you want to open a connection using MongoDB and manage all the resources, you can use context managers in this case. And finally, it is also used to acquire and release locks. Locks are basically given out while using shared memory, which is a advanced topic in Python. So context managers are used to manage these resources as well. And that's it, guys. Thank you. For more tutorials like this, you can visit our YouTube channel. And for blogs on technologies like DevOps, data science, and cloud computing, you can visit our blog channel.
If you want to make a career in data science, then Intellipaat has IIT Madras Advanced Data Science and AI Certification Program. This course is of very high quality and cost effective as it is taught by IIT professors and industry experts.